Yes, ma'am.
Kathy Bussman from Mesquite. The inadequate staffing, is that just short-term, trying to hire positions, or is it a budget issue?
I think I'll let Chief Higley address that.
It is a budget issue. Back in 2007, I want to say, we applied for a grant, a SAFER grant, to hire more firefighters. That was a 5-year grant. At the end of that grant, well, even before the grant was completed, we started laying off firefighters because the city could not fund it. So we've dropped about a third of the size of our department since then. We've gone from about 36 down to 23, not including administrative staff. That does include me and my deputy chief and my administrative assistant. I and the deputy chief are still active paramedics. We still respond on calls. I help with the transport. That's when I left council meeting the other night, was to go respond and help on transport. So we're still actively attending to calls along with our other administrative duties. But essentially, it's a budget issue.
Also keep in mind that, we are relatively thin in all departments. As I mentioned, we're down 30 employees from where we were 3 years ago. Even though we're thin in the fire department, again, nobody's house is going to burn down unattended, and if somebody is in physical distress, somebody will be there to help them. But we're thin all around. One of the things that we're looking at with regard to transport is that if we're not engaged in transport, we may have more of our people available to do other services, fire services. But again, that remains to be seen at this point. We're going to wait for the results of the study. After that, the council will make a determination. If they decide to discuss it at all, they'll make a determination whether or not they want to go with a contractor or continue with what we have. Barbara?
You answer my question.
Bunny?
Could you speak a little about the opening Fridays, about opening on Fridays? I read somewhere where some employees were going to be working on Fridays and have Mondays off and vice versa, which seems very confusing to me. If I need to call someone, how do I know whether they're a Friday or a Monday off person?
Bunny, there are a lot of possibilities for Fridays. One possibility is that our staff works a 4-day week. We have people in from Tuesday to Friday or Monday through Thursday. The other possibility is that we're open for 5 days and we're doing it 8 to 5 or 8 to 5 Monday through Thursday, and if we're still at 38 hours, 8 to 3 on Friday. There's another possibility that, in a sense, addresses some of the staffing issues of having a 4-day work week. But all of this, I think, is subject to negotiations. Once we find out what's determined and the council's ready to sign a contract, and then we'll know what we have. So, which is one of the reasons I couldn't put too much flesh on the bones of what our Friday's going to look like. But like I said, we will find some means of working this out, whether we've got people working 4 days or 5 days. Like I said, it's entirely possible we could be doing 5 days, and if we're still at 30 hours, go 8 to 3 on Friday. That way everybody's there. Otherwise, if you're doing Tuesday through Thursday or Monday through Thursday and Tuesday through Friday, you're going to have some absences, and we'd have to find some way of being able to cover. Anyhow, it's still an open question, and we probably will have an answer as soon as negotiations are settled. Any other questions?
Yes.
Okay. Barbara?
Kind of staying on the subject of employees in the contract, if you're able to answer this question. Obamacare starts on sale next Tuesday. And are the city employees subject to Obamacare, and how is Obamacare going to affect their health benefits, and are the costs going up for the city for health benefits for city employees?
We've been told that the costs are going up, but this is something that's happened to us virtually every year. In terms of a direct impact from Obamacare, more no than yes. Our employees will be given some information on the health exchanges. That'll be available. They can opt out of the city's care and decide, have the option, I think, of paying for their own care going somewhere else. My understanding is that, I could be wrong, I'm not an HR expert, but my understanding is that the coverage will remain the same for all employees. I'm not aware of anybody who have any full-time employee whose coverage is going to be dropped or altered in any way. The cost is going up, but I think we anticipated this was going to happen early on, and again, it's a fairly common thing. I don't know if it's directly because of Obamacare or not. I couldn't tell you at this point. I think the people that might have who would be most affected are actually people who aren't necessarily receiving benefits from the city. For example, right now, if you're working under 32 hours, you're considered part-time. I think Obamacare will change that to 30 hours. And those folks who currently don't have any health insurance from the city will have the option to pick a plan from the exchange. But in terms of being a direct impact, more oblique than direct. Barbara, then Dave.
So does that mean you're going to not try to hire more part-time employees and then like your 32 hours, you won't cut them down to 30 or 29 and just let the city pay for them?
You know, we haven't even gone there yet, Barbara,
Okay.
in terms of how that's going to be impact. I mean, it's possible that we may have to consider part-time 30 hours or under 30 hours instead of under 32. That may be a change. In terms of the other impact, we haven't even gotten that far at this point. One thing I should mention is we're really down to one person in human resources right now. Her time is coveted by everybody in the organization. And we have our city attorney who's actually functioning as head of human resources as well. So another area of the city we're thin. It's working, but sometimes we just haven't been able to answer all or anticipate all the questions that are coming down. But again, my sense is that the impact is going to be oblique rather than direct.
Andy, that person we're hiring in the clerk's office is a part-time person, right?
Right. I think we are planning that person to be working 20 hours.
25 hours total, yeah.
20 to 25 hours. Memory may be better in this than mine. And at some point in the future, when we can afford it, and if the workload requires it, we may go to full time. But at 25 hours, that person would not qualify for any benefits from the city. And again, I don't think that would change until the person is at 30 or 32 hours. Dave?